Thunderbolt at Luna Park is one of the most polarizing roller coasters in America. This super narrow steel coaster has some exciting elements, including a vertical drop, 4 inversions, and powerful airtime hills. However, many find this coaster too uncomfortable or rough to fully enjoy it. So do I find this coaster underrated, or is it as cruddy as its reputation suggests? Find out in this review. Now, this steel roller coaster isn't the first Thunderbolt at Coney Island. Heck, it isn't even the second. The first was a John A. Miller wood coaster that operated from 1925 to 1982. This coaster stood where the steel Thunderbolt lies today. Then Dino's Wonder Wheel Park added and still owns a chance flying bobs named Thunderbolt much later. In 2010, Zamperla took over operation of Luna Park. They immediately populated the park with a collection of their own roller coasters and flat rides. Zamperla has continued to invest in the park, and they've basically turned it into a show floor, adding several prototype attractions over the years. And the most notable prototype was Thunderbolt. Announced in 2013, this would be Zamperla's new generation thrill coaster. Thunderbolt would be Zamperla's largest coaster to date, standing 115 feet or 35 meters tall, and featuring 2,234 feet or 681 meters of track. And it would amazingly fit on a piece of land just 50 feet wide. The limited land prompted Zamperla to include an elevator lift in the initial renderings, but the final version would feature a vertical lift like the Gerstlauer Eurofighters. And in fact, this coaster would have a lot of other similarities to the highly popular Gerstlauer Eurofighters as well, between the super steep drop, the inversion-centric layout, and the short trains. Thunderbolt opened in 2014 and has quite the presence on Coney Island's skyline. The orange track looks good by day, but the coaster looks exceptional at night with the multicolored lighting package. It's one of the best looking coasters at night in my opinion. I love the signage for this attraction as well. The coaster's name is on both sides of the lift hill, and the main entrance off the boardwalk also features a large sign that draws you in. Now, this coaster's placement is a little weird. While it is owned by Luna Park and included on wristbands, it's all by itself at the end of the amusement boardwalk. It's not connected to any other section. Thunderbolt runs right up against West 15th Street and Surf Avenue, so you're able to get super close to this slender coaster. If you want to ride Thunderbolt, you can either pay $10 per ride, or you can purchase the pricey Luna Park wristband. I always opt for the latter because I always want to marathon the Cyclone and get a handful of rides on Thunderbolt as well. Thunderbolt usually has a modest 10 to 20 minute wait. The high price point helps keep lines down even on weekends, and the coaster always runs multiple cars. There can only be one in the main circuit at any given time, but by running 2 to 3 cars, they can have separate load and unload areas so they can prepare multiple cars at once. This keeps the line moving on busier days despite the small size of the vehicles. It also helps that you cannot bring any loose articles to the ride platform. Riders just need to step into their seat. Before the final section of the queue line, there is a complimentary bag and loose article check. Thunderbolt's cars can hold 9, yes 9, riders. It's sort of an awkward number as the car features 3 rows with 3 guests in each. So if you're a single rider, you can often skip past the last part of the queue line because they need to fill an extra seat or two. Once you reach the station, seating is on a first come first served basis, and you cannot wait for a specific seat. Almost everyone will fill the front row first, so it can be tricky to get the unobstructed view. However, I actually prefer the back by a very slim margin, because the airtime is just a tad better back there. Now let's talk about the restraints, and this is one of the biggest sticking points about the ride. They are overhead lap bars that swivel, and the operators will 100% stable you. They almost always throw all their might into the restraint, and they will crush your legs like a panini press. It's not comfortable due to how tight they are, but I personally don't find it painful. Then you also have these flimsy shoulder straps. Zamperla themselves admitted this coaster can run without them, but they just add them for the comfort of guests. For me, they're a non-factor because they don't inhibit my ability to experience this coaster's airtime or hang time. They're just there. The other point of contention with Thunderbolt is its roughness, and this one is a bigger issue. I first rode this coaster in 2016, but Zamperla made some improvements on this coaster between 2014 and 2015. That off-season, I tried to interview with Zamperla for a position out of college. The interview took place at Coney Island, and one of the projects they were working on was to improve Thunderbolt's alignment in the valleys. Work was actively taking place on the pullout from the first drop, and it's entirely possible similar work was done elsewhere on the ride as well. Now, I didn't ride Thunderbolt until 2016, but it sounds like the coaster was considerably shakier in its initial season. Zamperla has used these learnings on their subsequent installations, such as Rolling Thunder at Owa, and while I haven't ridden that coaster, those who have ridden both Thunderbolt and Rolling Thunder all seem to agree that Rolling Thunder is less jostly. Thunderbolt undeniably has a shake to it, but it's not a deal breaker for me. The restraints don't cause any headbanging because they come nowhere near your head, so I can tolerate the shaking because the elements around it are fantastic. Now, how well you can tolerate this shake and the tight lap bars will directly impact your ability to enjoy this coaster. Thunderbolt begins with a slow U-turn out of the station, and then you ascend the vertical lift hill. To your left, you get a neat view of the Brooklyn Cyclones baseball stadium. To the right, you get a full view of Coney Island and all the amusements. And if you look behind you, and I know that's hard to do, you can see the beach and Atlantic Ocean. The views are fantastic, even if you get them at weird angles. Once at the top, you head down the vertical drop. Everyone gets a good initial pop of airtime, ejector airtime to be more specific, but it feels a little bit stronger in the back of the car. You're then quickly pulled back into your seat due to a trim brake, and I do wish the trim was located further down, but the start of the drop still delivers a strong punch at least. The pullout has some solid positive Gs, and you'll also get a little bit of shaking. You then navigate a large vertical loop. Due to how much you decelerate at the top, you'll get a little bit of hang time here, but it's nothing compared to what's coming. The loop's pullout is the shakiest on the ride, but again, I don't find it unbearable. You then navigate a 0G roll, and this element has an abrupt twist at the top, so it delivers some strong and forceful hang time. This flip is a bit jerky though, so you'll also get some unintended lateral shuffling along with that awesome hang time. You then soar through a large and funky banked hill. It looks like a wave turn. This element does nothing up front, but if you're in the very back, you will get some faint floater airtime, and it really does surprise me the element rides that differently in a single car train. That's followed by the most extreme inversion on the ride, the messed up dive loop. It is bizarrely profiled. It feels off axis at points. The snappy twist into the element delivers an upside down pop of airtime, and then the dive downwards is super compact and very forceful. The positive Gs try to bend you over the restraint. This maneuver will also jostle you quite a bit, but I'm too busy enjoying the combo of hang time and positives to be bothered by that. Thunderbolt then rips over back-to-back bunny hills. The first one has a trim brake that will usually slow you down a bit, but the next two hills offer some great airtime regardless. Everyone gets sustained ejector airtime, but it is a tiny bit stronger in the back. You then whip through a corkscrew. This element offers some good hang time paired with wild laterals because of how tight and compact this element is. Thunderbolt then has one final off-axis hill, and this is the one most impacted by the trim brake at the start of the return run if it hits. If the trim does not hit, you'll get some more ejector airtime. When the trim hits, and again this is usually what happens, you'll only get sustained floater airtime. You then pop up into the brake run, giving those up front one last little pop of airtime before hitting the brakes. While the smoothness of this coaster is questionable at points, the ride's pacing is undeniably fantastic. Outside of maybe the wave turn, every other element is amazing. The inversions offer wild hang time, and all of the airtime hills really throw you from your seat. So what would I rate Thunderbolt? I would personally give this Zamperla creation an 8 out of 10. This is a fun, albeit flawed coaster. The restraints are super tight, and the ride is quite shaky at points. But the ride never caused me pain personally. The ride was just a bit uncomfortable at points. While I wish it tracked better, I keep coming back for what this coaster does well. Getting ejector airtime this strong on a looping coaster is a real treat. And all 4 inversions also get me out of my seat. And the way the elements are thrown at you in rapid fire succession is wonderful. I cannot wait to see what Zamperla does in the future. They've revealed updated trains at IAAPA, and if they can continue to improve the smoothness of their coasters, I think they have a bright future because Thunderbolt shows their willingness to build dynamic layouts. So those are my thoughts on Thunderbolt at Luna Park. Do you agree with me that this coaster is underrated? Or do you find this coaster too rough or uncomfortable? I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.